my channel. Today I will be making spaghetti meatballs. And when you hear spaghetti, anyone can make it, right? You just combine your tomato or marinara sauce with some ground beef, pour on top of your pasta, and you got yourself spaghetti. And I'm sure you tried different style spaghetti at American restaurants or Italian restaurants. But when you search up the history of spaghetti, it actually originated from China, and Marco Polo took this recipe back to Venice, Italy. And over the years, I think that's where they perfected this dish. So today, I will show you my version of spaghetti, and most of the ingredients that I'm using here are the basic requirements for making spaghetti, but I will add in my twist. So if you guys want to learn how to make this Italian Vietnamese fusion spaghetti, then follow my recipe and continue watching. The ingredients that we're going to need today is our ground beef, of course. Over here, I have my 2 pounds of ground beef. Each package is 1 pound, and this will serve about 8 people. I like to make a lot so that my whole family can enjoy. Over here I have my 3 slices of whole wheat bread. You can use white bread. Over here I have my green and red bell pepper, 2 each, my 2 white onion, my canned tomatoes diced, and my spaghetti, some mushrooms, some garlic, and for seasoning I will be using chicken broth seasoning, some sugar, garlic powder, some basil, Parmesan cheese, and optionals, I like to add these capers into my pasta. And that's it. So the first thing we're gonna do is start making our meatballs. So I like to cut my bell peppers this size because it's going to mix very well with the mushrooms and the meat sauce. So I like to cut my mushrooms kind of big like this because when you cook the mushrooms, it's going to shrink, so you want to be able to taste the mushroom. So I know this looks like a lot of onions, but we're going to use half to make our meatballs, and the other half we're going to saute with our veggies. It will shrink and you won't taste the onions at all later. I mean, you'll taste the onions, but you won't be able to bite into big pieces. And the onions will soak into the marinara sauce and it would taste amazing. I like to cool it down with cold water so that the noodles can stop cooking. Then you don't want the heat to cook the noodles, it will be soggy. So next I'm going to cut the edges of the bread off. I'm just going to use the white bread in the middle. Well, not the white bread, but the whole wheat bread. So now I'm going to add in my half a cup of water. So you want your bread to look mushy like this because we're going to mix it with our ground beef. And this is what's going to make your meatballs soft. So here I have my 1 pound of ground beef. Now we're going to start making the meatballs. So first I'm going to add in my bread here. I'm going to use half of this garlic. Then I'm going to use about 1/3 of this onions here. And for seasoning, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of my chicken seasoning. I'm going to use half a tablespoon of sugar. Over here I have my garlic powder. I'm going to use half a tablespoon of garlic powder. Over here I have my basil. I'm going to add in half a tablespoon of basil leaves. Oh, this is dry basil. And over here I have my Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese. And that's it. And now we're going to mix it up. If you have gloves, use them because you want to get in there and mix everything so that it's well combined. So you want to give everything a thorough mix. You want the seasoning to be even. So after everything is mixed, we're going to roll them into balls. I'm going to roll them about this size, since they will shrink. So here I was able to roll 14 balls. So if you roll them bigger, you'll have less balls. If you roll them smaller, you'll have smaller balls. But I like them this size, so I got about 14 balls here. So I like to fry my meatballs a little bit so that it can hold its shapes. So we're gonna wait till our pan get hot, and then I'm going to add in my oil. I'm going to put a good generous amount of oil since we have a lot of meatballs here. So now my pan is hot. I'm going to lower my heat to medium. Then I'm going to add in my meatball. So you want to be gentle with these meatballs because they're very soft and they can break easily. I just like to fry them a little bit so that there's like a fried taste to them. So after cooking it for about 7 to 8 minutes on medium-low heat, it's kind of turning kind of yellow golden. Now I'm going to add in my canned tomatoes. I'm going to turn my heat a little higher. Over here I'm adding in 2 cans of tomato, and this was diced tomato. I put in the food processor and I made it into puree. And I like my spaghetti with the tomato kind of chunky. Some people like it with the marinara sauce where tomato is like very finely grind. But this is my version and I like it like this. You kind of want to move the meatball a little bit gently. And right now I have my heat on medium to high heat so I can cook the tomato with the meatballs together. So now I'm going to add in half a tablespoon of my chicken seasoning. And I'm going to add in half a tablespoon of sugar. And I'm using a spoon to kind of move this around a little bit. here I have my meatballs cooking. I'm going to cook this in medium to low heat. I'm going to leave this for about 5 to 10 minutes so that the meatballs can be thoroughly cooked. Next, I'm going to come over here and cook my ground beef along with my veggies all together. We're going to wait for the pan to get hot. So now my pan is hot. I'm going to add in some oil. And I'm going to add in my other pound of ground beef here. You want to break everything apart because you want this to be ground beef in your spaghetti. After breaking the ground beef here, I'm going to add in the rest of my garlic that I had earlier. Next, I'm going to add in the rest of my white onions. You want to add this in when the beef is not cooked yet because you want to cook the beef with the onions together so that the onions can soak into the ground beef. And I have my heat on medium high. So over here you can see that my tomato sauce is cooking with my meatball. It smells so delicious. So you want to continuously stir this so that the beef don't clump together. So now I turn my heat to high so that I can cook the beef. Earlier I turned my heat down because I don't want my beef to be burnt and clump together while it's cooking. So now since it's all spread apart, you can turn your heat higher to cook the beef faster. I'm adding in half a tablespoon of chicken seasoning and a half tablespoon of sugar. Mix that up. Now I'm going to add in my vegetables after my beef has been cooked with the onions. I'm going to add in all my vegetables here. Just mix everything well. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm using 4 cans of tomatoes. I used 2 for the meatballs and I'm going to use the other 2 for my vegetables and beef here. So it has been about 10 minutes. The meatballs should be cooked with the tomato sauce here. I'm going to turn off my heat. And now we're just going to continue to stir this. Now I'm going to add in my seasoning here. I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of my chicken seasoning. So over here I have my basil. I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of basil. And lastly, I'm going to add in my 2 cans of tomato. So I'm going to lower my heat to medium to low. While that's cooked, I'm going to add my meatball into a bowl here. I don't want to combine the meatball with this because if you mix everything together, the meatball might break apart. So I'm just going to add them in a bowl here. So after taking out my meatball here, I'm going to add the rest of my tomato sauce back in this pot. So I'm gonna mix everything together. Next, we're going to give it a little taste. It's supposed to taste salty and sweet at the same time. So you can adjust the seasoning based on your liking. Just add a little bit more chicken seasoning or sugar. So I'm going to add in 2 more tablespoons of chicken seasoning since it's not as strong. Then I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now we're going to mix everything up. So now I'm going to assemble my plate. I'm going to add some spaghetti on my plate here. That's a good amount for 1 person. And then next I'm going to add in my sauce. And for each plate I'm going to add in 2 meatballs. Doesn't this dish look so yummy? This is my version of Italian Vietnamese Fusion Spaghetti, and it's definitely different than any type of spaghetti you've eaten before. So if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. If you guys haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye!